They waited 12 years for this vacation. 12 years, not 12 months, 12 years. You save, you plan, you imagine the memories, you picture the beach, you picture family photos, you picture finally being able to relax. Then you arrive. Not a budget hotel, not a roadside motel, at the Royalton Blue Waters All-Inclusive Resort in Montego Bay, Jamaica. A family of 4, 7 days, approximately $12,000. And this is where the story begins.
I stayed at Royalton Blue Waters, Jamaica, Montego Bay from the 19th of July to the 25th. Beautiful family resort.
6 hours. That's the first thing I want you to remember. Not because waiting is unusual, because expectations are being created during that wait. Every minute increases the importance of what happens next. After 12 years of waiting for a vacation, 6 more hours probably doesn't seem like much until you finally open the door.
3 o'clock, we finally got a room, and to find out, or to see that the room, it just wasn't working, meaning air conditioning wasn't working, sinks were clogging, the safe did not work. The room was not clean. My wife actually was cleaning up hair and food that was on the bed and dirt on the floor.
Most people think this is where the failure happened. It isn't. The failure happened before the guest opened the door. Cleaning, inspection, quality control, room release. Multiple opportunities to catch the problem. None of them worked. The guest didn't discover the failure. The guest inherited it.
Reported this to the front desk. They said the maintenance would come. It took over 2 hours for maintenance to come, all the while waiting for them to come. When they finally came and realized they couldn't fix anything, the only room they could give us was one that had only one bed. So,
watch what happens now. The original problem isn't being solved. A second problem is created. This is where isolated incidents become service failures, because every attempted solution now has the potential to create another disappointment.
The only room they could give us was one that had only one bed. So we went to this room. They promised to bring me an extra cot, like a rollaway cot. They didn't. Eventually, waiting till mid 12:30 that night, after 3 times calling and approaching the front desk to find out where the bed was, they never brought it. So I slept on the floor using a couch cushion. The bed finally came at 8 o'clock in the morning, the next morning. Eventually, that day, the next day, the second day, we got another room, and everything was fine.
This is no longer a room problem. This is now a recovery problem. Recovery is where trust is either built or destroyed. What happens next tells you everything about how this organization handles failure. Whenever stories like this appear online, somebody always says, you get what you paid for. But what makes this assumption interesting is that this wasn't a budget vacation. This was a 5-star Royalton all-inclusive resort in Jamaica. A family of 4 spent approximately $12,000 for a 7-day stay. And that's exactly why this story matters. Because service failures aren't a budget hotel problem, they're a system problem. Different price points, different brands, different promises, same human factor.
I talked to Royalton about compensation because we booked through a third party, Sun Winning Vacations. They obviously couldn't reimburse us any money. Well, so they said, because, again, we didn't pay them. It was an indirect third party. But they said they'd give us a cabana, which is poolside, like gazebo, pergola type, covered area. And, people wait on you and whatnot. My family and I did not need that. We told them we didn't need it because the beach is, again, because of low season, it's empty. There's always places to sit beachside. Why would you want to sit in a cabana by a pool? That's my opinion. So we never utilized it. We didn't want to. We told them we're not. They also said they'd give us a romantic dinner by the beach for me, my wife, and 2 daughters. Not necessary. We told them that, a romantic dinner is for my wife and I. It wasn't necessary to sit on the beach, especially when it's completely windy the entire time. Like there's always a wind, and a strong wind coming off the ocean. So we'd rather be indoors eating rather than getting food and covered with sand and whatnot. So we never utilized any of the compensation. So it was just, we just told them whatever, it's not necessary. So regardless, the first day and night was terrible, but after that, everything was good.
The guests didn't book a Sunwing vacation. They booked a Royalton experience. Recovery only works when it addresses the customer's loss. A family vacation isn't repaired with a romantic dinner. A beach vacation isn't repaired with a poolside cabana. The organization attempted recovery. The recovery simply didn't match the experience that was lost. And that's where many organizations misunderstand service recovery. They're trying to compensate for the incident. The customer is trying to recover the experience. These are not the same thing. That's the human factor. The gap between what organizations promise and what customers experience. The family didn't arrive looking for compensation. They arrived looking for a vacation. They didn't arrive looking for maintenance. They didn't arrive looking for room changes. They didn't arrive looking for explanations either. They arrived looking for the experience they believed they purchased. 12 years of anticipation, 6 hours waiting for a room that wasn't ready, hours waiting for maintenance, a promised bed that didn't arrive, and recovery efforts that never addressed the actual loss. Not because one employee failed, not because one room failed, not because one customer had bad luck, because systems create outcomes, and eventually those outcomes become visible to customers. They waited 12 years for this vacation. The room wasn't the story. The waiting was the story. Waiting for the room, waiting for maintenance, waiting for a solution, waiting for a bed, waiting for the experience to finally match the promise. And once you see that, you start noticing the pattern everywhere. That's the human factor. And now you know what's actually happening.